Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the tier list series where we rank every single item in dead cells from S all the way down to F. And in today's episode, after a long time, we're going to be ranking all the ranged weapons with some gameplay on the background from the showcases that I have recorded for each of those items. I am pretty sure I have showcased every single ranged weapon in the game, most of them more than once. So yeah, this is what we're going to do today. I would like to point out a few things first. The first thing is that a tier list is a subjective thing. Every single opinion that I'm gonna have, that I'm gonna point out, every single thing that I'm gonna point out, positive or negative regarding a weapon, is just from my experience. And although I do realize that, also thank you guys so much for allowing me to reach 2,000 subscribers. It's a huge milestone. I do realize that my opinion holds some weight because I'm a content creator on this game. So if I tell you guys that Anathema is an amazing weapon that was added in the Endless Quiver update and I want to place it on S tier, you guys are gonna think that it's bullshit, but you're gonna ask yourselves, wait, really? Because he plays a lot, he creates content for this game, so he must be onto something. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just my opinion, and it can be a bad opinion. So I would like you guys to keep that in mind. If you strongly disagree with my opinion, either because I was too hard or gave too good of a ranking to a weapon, just let me know in the comments. I would love to discuss dead cells. I love dead cells in general, so I would love to discuss my rankings. But I would also highly encourage you guys to watch the showcases that I have recorded for a particular item, so you can see where I'm coming from, because I'm giving my opinion based on my use of the weapon, and I could have used it wrong, or maybe you guys could learn a new way to use an item you didn't think was as good or as bad as I said it was. So anyways, once again, opinions are subjective. This tier list is subjective. So yeah, I would still love if you guys left me all the feedback you want in the comments. So thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for allowing me to reach 2K. And let's just get right into it. But first, I would like to give a huge thanks to Disappointed Giant. Thank you so much, DG, for lending me your timestamps. I'm going to be using them to get more precise timestamps for you guys and a complete list. Disappointed Giant already made 2 tier lists of his own. Let's get to them right now. I think they're still in my history. Yeah, Disappointed Giant already did tier lists of his own of all the items in the game, and of course, an amazing Dead Cells YouTuber. I recommend that you guys watch every single thing that he makes. We made a couple collabs together, but yeah, Disappointed Giant is an amazing YouTuber and an amazing friend of mine that kindly lent me his timestamps. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. And the first item in the tier list is Beginner's Bow. A really bad item. It sucks, and it's supposed to suck. This is footage from my showcase that I did for it a long time ago. And yeah, it just sucks. Even as just a vessel for tactics mutations, which really tend to be really strong. Like right here, I'm using barbed tips and networking. And in this showcase here that you guys are watching, barbed tips and networking are just like carrying the brunt of the damage that we're doing here. And of course, for the diverse deck, but yeah, it really is bad, and it's supposed to be bad because it's an item that you're supposed to never pick up again. So yeah, beginner bow, F tier. Next up, we have Multi-nocks Bow, which is on the slower end of the attack speed of bows, but it is incredibly powerful. It fires 3 arrows at a time, and yeah, as you can see, they do a whole lot of damage. It synergizes really well with a quick bow. I also have a showcase for quick bow alongside Multiple-nocks Bow, but we're just talking about each of them individually. So yeah, they synergize really well together, but this is not the video for it. Right here, we're just ranking the Multi-nocks Bow. The damage is great. It is a bit slow, but I mean, ranged weapons, and we're gonna get to this point pretty quickly in the tier list. You guys are gonna realize that ranged weapons are just amazing. Like, they are so good. Most of the enemies in the game require you to be close to them to actually damage you. There are not a whole lot of ranged enemies, and the ones that are there are like really easy to deal with. So ranged weapons have a clear advantage over every single other item in the game. So they're all gonna be like pretty high up in the tier list, and unfortunately, I cannot give like thinking about all of that. I don't see any other place for the Multi-nocks Bow to be other than A tier. It's an A tier item. Next up, let's talk about Firebrands, which are literally, or actually, I think it's is. Firebrands is my favorite weapon to get out of prisoners' quarters with. Every single time I see it, doesn't matter, I could be running survival. I could be trying to go for a survival run. If I see Firebrands in the tubes, I'm taking it because it's so effective in getting out of prisoners' quarters quickly. I might not even be able to finish talking about it before leaving. That's how quick you can get out of prisoners' quarters with Firebrands, and on top of all that, it's just an amazing weapon. I think it's really funny that it's just the sprite for the torch being actually detached from your character and just like thrown out. But it's really good. I don't want to get too much into like mutations and stuff, but there's no way for me not to do it. Firebrands works so incredibly well with what's the name of it? The mutation that allows you to chain together attacks. Oh, I don't even use it in this. Oh, it's because it's too old. Networking. Yeah, it works really well with networking. In this specific video, I'm also using ice shards, which we're going to get to right after I finish this. And maybe in the same video. Maybe using the same video as an example, but Firebrands is just amazing. It doesn't work as well on bosses because it's a really like small DOT, but with the right setup, with the right combo, with the right synergies, with the ability to apply oil. If you can get any of the other 3 items that you have available for you to apply oil, 5 if you count the backpack stuff, you can get a whole lot of usage out of Firebrands. And yeah, I just finished the entire game with it on this video. So I just love Firebrands. So although it's not as good on bosses, I still think Firebrands is also an A tier item. Now, ice shards are a bit of a tougher item to talk about, because unlike Firebrands, it does not scale so well in the end game. Also, I don't think I have to say this, but this tier list is made based on a 5 BC perspective, and those items that I'm ranking might be better off on lower BCs, but the higher the BC, the higher the enemy resistance to certain effects, and the longer the run goes as well, the higher the enemy resistance to some effects. And one of them is freeze. Unfortunately, enemies get really, really resistant to freeze and slowdown, to the point where I have been trying, like, on and off without you guys knowing, to do an ice shards only video where I beat the game using only the ice shards, which is something that I sometimes do, like with some weapons that I really like. And I love ice shards. I love ice shards, like, without a doubt. Unfortunately, it really starts to fall off as soon as you get to the first boss. Like, you're gonna have trouble defeating Concierge with it. I don't think... Well, it's gonna be different in here because, I have Medusa's head. But, yeah, Ice Shards has a lot of trouble fighting enemies. The higher the BC. And I think there was one showcase where I actually managed to get to, like, Giant, and I just died because the fight wouldn't stop, because Ice Shards doesn't do the damage. So it is a very, very good supporting weapon, right? If you're using other stuff, if you're, like, using hold to attack with another fast weapon, which is what I did here and what I did in the previous video that I showed you guys, where I used ice shards and Firebrands. So it works in that sense, but judging the weapon as a whole, even though I love it, I love ice shards, it scales with survival. It's so good if you're able to use it with a kill rhythm alongside another weapon. It's amazing. However, it is not good enough to leave B tier. Next item on the list is the electric whip. I mean, there's nothing to say about the electric whip, right? Everyone knows it. Everyone that has played Tactics on early or late PCs has used the electric whip. I think it's unlocked by default. We could check. Yep, it is unlocked by default, and it's another one of those, like, the oldest items in the game and stuff. It's really old, it's really powerful, you guys saw it. There's nothing much to say about it. I think this is, like, pre-nerf, because they nerfed it a bit, but even today it's really good. You might argue that it's even better with the reworked networking. It also scales with point blank, as the wiki says, parting gift. I mean, this might be a little different, because it says it's a whip, but it's ranged. But Like I think no one has ever doubted that it's ranged, so it's amazing. Use it with point blank, use it with whatever you want, and you will have a fun time. And I think it's an A tier item. I want to rank those as accurately as possible, but every single ranged item here is amazing. Yes, even the War Javelin. But like I'm ranking them in relation to other items. So even though those three here are amazing, and you could argue that they could be S tier, I think there are a few items that are better than this, so they are going to be in S tier. So that's how a tier list works. I don't know why I'm rambling. That's it. Electric Whip, A tier. Frost Blast is up next, and it's another one of these supporting weapons that I ended up using on a showcase on its own. But we're gonna try to judge it fairly. I love Frost Blast. I don't use it nearly enough on showcases because this is one of the best supporting weapons in the game. I recently learned that like you usually compare both of those. You compare Frost Blast with Ice Bow, and the difference is that I think we're gonna check later down the line. I think you can't get Pierce on the Ice Bow, so Frost Blast becomes the option with more AOE. So yeah, that's really good. After the rework to Frostbite, the mutation, it has become even more viable to be used on both colors, on both survival and tactics. I use it on survival here, but I'm probably going to do a tactics run of it very, very soon. For now, we're just going to judge it off based on the showcase that I did on survival, but I have used Frost Blast plenty of times. It's just that since it wasn't the star of the video, I can't find the other links, the other videos to it, but I love Frost Blast, and it is a really good supporting item, but it's just that. It cannot be, it cannot go any like higher than this. I'm using it on its own here, and I'm suffering a lot. On this video, I remember that I suffered a lot on bosses. And that's why I try to go for survival, because I used the syringe and really powerful skills to get through the rest of the game. But yeah, it's a really good supporting item, and really good supporting items deserve the B tier. Next up, guys, we have the Magic Bow. I think this is the first one for the Everyone is Here update collab that deadcells used to do. Amazing one. Right here in this video, I'm using it alongside Throwable Objects, which is another one. But I've used Magic Bow so many times, and in the same way that I have a huge bias towards survival melee weapons, I have a huge bias towards ranged weapons in general. Tactics is like, you guys could not make me choose a color that I love the most, because I can't. I love brutality, I love survival, and I love tactics. I can't choose. And Magic Bow is one of those items that's gonna get like really, really bumped up on the tier list because of it, because I do know that it's a difficult item to use. A lot of people don't like it. It is slow. It is quite slow to fire. It's gonna make you get hit a lot when you're using it. And another thing is that the tracking is a bit bugged. Sometimes it's not always that you get really good tracking. And yeah, sometimes the arrows just don't hit as they should. But when they do, you get a whole lot of damage. I don't remember how this fight goes. Probably get hit by that. Wow. Yep, I do. So yeah, it is a bit of a slower weapon, and it suffers from it, and it does not have that big, gigantic damage to make up for the fact that it's a little slow, but it's there, it's good, and yeah, it's a B tier in my opinion. Infantry Bow is up next, and what can I say? I just love it. On season 1, I used it on tactics, and yeah, it's amazing on tactics. You use point blank, you use support, you use ammo if you want to make sure that you have a lot of ammo. But right here on this video, I'm showcasing a way to use it on tactics, which even allows using it on brutality, sorry, which even allows you to use Predator. Predator is a mutation that procs the invisibility whenever you kill an enemy with a melee attack, but it doesn't have to be the final hit. Just by hitting an enemy, you can get the invisibility to proc with something like the dash from Assault Shield. So just bumping into enemies and then killing them later with the bow will allow you to be invisible. So yeah, it's really good. I love Infantry Bow. It's a simple yet effective weapon. The damage is not like incredibly high, but as I keep saying, these weapons are amazing. So Infantry Bow is A tier. The Marksman's Bow, I used this wrong when I was recording season 1 of Showcases. I just used this weapon terribly, and now I learned how to use it, which is with either a knockback shield or Spartan sandals, which is amazing because we also found a way to use Spartan sandals. I just love deadcells, and I love how much depth this game has, and how like good you can be with it if you just learn how to use stuff and use stuff that works well together. And yeah, Marksman's Bow is one of those items. I'm just putting this right after Infantry Bow, mainly because I'm also using Disappointed Giants timestamps, like the order of the items, to help me organize myself better, but also because those items are like they complement each other in sort of a weird way. I still feel like it's better if you use those items separately. You know, each one of them has its own specialty and way of being used, but they work like well by complementing each other. You know. Um, Marksman's Bow crits while you are far away from the enemy, so this works wonderfully with Tranquility, support as well. Uh, Everything works well with support when you think about it. But yeah, Marksman's Bow is amazing. It does have quite a bit of trouble fighting elites and enemies that like chase you a lot, or like are resistant to like being stuck in place or being moved around. So yeah, this suffers quite a bit on bosses. So you're essentially not really supposed to use this on bosses because it's kind of tough to keep your distance. Not all the time, but most of the time. If I fought Conjunctivius with this, it would be really easy. But the fact that it's quite tricky to use on bosses is gonna land it on a comfortable B tier. Quick Bow is next up on the list, and it's amazing. Another one of the amazing weapons that are available for ranged. It's simple, and I feel like the reason why most of the ranged weapons are amazing are like the same. You know, they're safe to use, they are powerful, they like get huge buffs with tactics mutations. And quick bow is just that. As I said, it synergizes really well with Multiple-nocks Bow. But other than that, it's just an amazing bow. You can hold it down to shoot really fast, and ammo is a bit of a problem because you're like constantly unloading your entire clip into the enemies. And is there a boss fight? Yeah, let's go for the boss fight. And because of that, you might run out of ammo quite a lot. But using the ammo mutation or stuff that returns arrows to you, like, will always be a great choice. You could go for skills that have the return arrows affix, or you could parry, you know. There are plenty of stuff that you can do. It takes a little bit for the damage to kick in, so that's what's gonna keep the quick bow from going any further than A tier. That's it. Nerves of Steel. I just used that in the previous, not previous, but it's a recent video where I used it, and it might be. I keep using the word favorite, and I know it might be like me being like exaggerating and stuff, but I just love Nerves of Steel. It's one of the first weapons that I used on the channel. I think I used it when this weapon used to scale with survival as well. I think there was a time in which the devs thought that weapons that had like a timing requirement should scale with survival. And yeah, Nerves of Steel used to scale with survival, but now it doesn't. And Nerves of Steel is like part of the series of weapons that are kind of difficult to use, you know, because there's a timing mechanic associated with it, but it's so incredibly easy. It's not like the Buzuki where you kind of have to learn the pattern of the Buzuki. With this, you just need to shoot as soon as you hear the noise that it makes. Since this video is no commentary, I'm gonna you can faintly hear the tang, you know, the noise when it's gonna get a crit right now. Did you heard it? So yeah, incredibly easy to use, and this is the first weapon that's going into S tier. The damage is insane, and it's really easy to hit all the crits. It's incredibly easy to deal with ranged enemies. You know, whenever I run this weapon, I just have so much fun. It's insane. But yeah. Bow and Endless Quiver. So good that I used it by itself, and I don't do that with a whole lot of items. But yeah, I love it. Infinite ammo, you know. What else could you ask for? It is on the slower side, but it's just fast enough, in my opinion. You guys could check the wiki to see the specific timings and how long it takes for you to attack, but it's just amazing. I just love using this with barbed tips because you're essentially just doing like infinite barbed tips damage. It probably has a cap of some sort, but it's amazing. It's amazing. And the fact that it has infinite ammo is enough, alongside the decent-ish damage, and the fact that you can get a decent crit every now and then will place the Bow and Endless Quiver in S tier, in my opinion. Ice Bow is up next, and I gotta tell you guys, I love it. Same with Frost Blast. I just don't use it enough, but it does have the same problems that I talked about when it comes to enemies becoming more and more resistant to it as time goes on. But it is still an amazing weapon, amazing support weapon that can stand on its own with this setup that I show right here on this video. I have other videos using Ice Bow and other runs where I use it, but I feel like it's best used. Like, if you want Ice Bow to be a protagonist on your run, you gotta run it on Tactics. If you're just playing normally and using it as a supporting weapon or just as a way to enable other weapons to work, like Nutcracker or Nutcracker is the only one I can think about, you can run it on survival without a problem. I read it. I read about it on the wiki, and yeah, apparently you cannot get Pierce, but because you can't because it has the effect of where is it? Yeah, it freezes enemies around it. So the shot has kind of a AoE of an explosion effect that will freeze enemies around it, like a smaller ice grenade. So yeah, it's just as effective as Frost Blast, maybe a little more effective than Ice Shards, but yeah, I feel like they can both stay at B tier. The heavy crossbow is a decent weapon, although not as good as the other ones, in my opinion. Of the crossbow series of weapons, I just think they are a bit harder to use. I think crossbows in general are tougher, mostly because apart from the explosive crossbow, I think they lack a little bit of mobility. It makes sense because you're like essentially shooting, on the case of the heavy crossbow here, you're shooting a really powerful, like super shotgun. So it makes sense that it's slow. Sometimes there's a bug around it where you don't get a whole lot of damage. I think it happened with me when I was using it against Giant, but it was on Season 1 of Showcases. Uh, this is a weapon that I think is heavily skewed towards survival. This is a weapon that's used better on survival than tactics. The reload is an amazing way of getting your ammo back, so I don't feel like you need to use ammo on it, or doesn't even work well with barbed tips because the reload just gives you back all of your ammo. So I'm not sure where to place it, but I don't think people are gonna be really mad when they see that I placed heavy crossbow on B tier. The repeater crossbow has the exact same problems that I talked about just now, except that I don't know, man. I think it's just better. The fact that you can easily get the crits with a heavy crossbow as well, but I feel like the repeater crossbow is just like more fun, better. I don't know. Yes, I just ran out of ammo there on this footage, which, by the way, is of an unreleased video. Yeah, which you guys are gonna watch. I don't know. I don't even know when I'm gonna finish this one, but yeah, I really like repeater crossbow. It is a bit tougher to use than other weapons, as I said, but it is still pretty fun. It works wonderfully with barbed tips because both of your attacks, the main and the one that roots enemies, are gonna apply the barbed tips effects. So you can get quite a bit of damage, you know, out of it. And maybe using it with ammo would be nice, seeing that I ran out of ammo there in the death fight. But we still managed to get a flawless, and like this is the pinnacle. This is the point I'm trying to make when I say that tier lists are subjective, and this is just my opinion, because probably I am just going to be placing repeater crossbow higher than heavy crossbow because of my experience with it and because it was fun, you know. I have plenty of videos using the repeater crossbow on the channel, just check them out. And they make me just like the repeater crossbow better. On survival, it's amazing as well. My first showcase with it was on survival, so yeah. Repeater crossbow, A tier. The explosive crossbow is a tough weapon to rank because I can't help but to wish it was better. It is good. It's not bad, you know, it's still gonna stay in a comfortable spot in the tier list, but I just wish it had the legendary effect that it has normally, which is pierce with the projectile. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if you could pierce targets with the left shot? You know, with the normal shot. Wow, the video is really stuttering a lot. Well, it's an older video. I used this a year ago. Newer video, better gameplay. I also used it on both colors. But yeah, I like explosive crossbow. I just wish it did more damage. Point blank is really good with both attacks because I think it also buffs the damage of the right click that just hits the ground with it. It's amazing. And yeah, I just wish the legendary FX that it has was the normal FX, because getting pierce on an explosive projectile weapon is just insanely fun. But even without it, it's still really fun, really good, really cool. Cool enough to land on the A tier. The ice crossbow really surprised me when I used it again for season 2, because I don't remember it being this good. But the freeze effect is surprisingly consistent with it, and even without it, the damage is not so bad. You cannot use this on its own, by the way. You need to use this with a strong set of supporting items, like a strong skill or something in the backpack, you know, to help you out. But you can and you will have a decent time using it. Once again, I just wish you could get pierce on the left shot, the shot that freezes enemies. And that shot, I don't think it has an area of effect like the ice bow. I think this one is just like a single target freezing mechanism. But as you guys can see, it's working pretty well on Conjunctivius. And if you take the time to watch this showcase or any other show, or the other, because I only have 2 videos using this weapon, if you take the time to watch those, you guys are going to understand why I'm also surprised to do this, but why I'm placing ice crossbow on the A tier. B tier? B tier. Yeah. Because it kind of suffers a bit on bosses here. Like, you stop getting the freeze, you know? Like, we're not doing freeze anymore. I just gave up on using it. So yeah, it's tough. You know, enemies become more and more resistant to freeze the later you get into the video, and the later you get into the game, and the higher the BC. So yeah, B tier. Let's be reasonable, okay? The Alchemic Carbine is another one of those like old items in the game. that has always remained like a favorite or just like in general a part of people's roster. This weapon was nerfed a bunch of times ever since it was released, and today it does quite a little amount of damage. The damage is quite bad, unfortunately. This weapon used to be able to stand on its own much better than it does today, but it is still an amazing supporting weapon to use in backpack mutations and stuff. I just wish it had Pierce. Like, even as a rare or legendary affix, I just wish this weapon had Pierce with the shot, because sometimes you're just not gonna get all that damage out of it because it's not gonna hit multiple enemies. And when it does, when you get a poison cloud in the middle of a bunch of enemies, or when they start dying and releasing poison clouds of their own, the weapon becomes really, really good, but not as good as it used to be. Although I really recommend you guys give it a shot with networking. It's just so good, especially if you can get something else to help you out, like ice shards or anything in general. This works really well in tandem with other stuff. It just suffers a bit on its own and on bosses. That's why I love Alchemic Carbine, but I feel like I gotta place it on B tier, guys. I'm gonna say it outright so you guys have time to be rightfully enraged, but I'm gonna place Hokuto's bow on A tier because I love it. It's my favorite weapon in the game. It's my favorite supporting weapon in the game, hands down. I just love it. I wish it still scaled with brutality so I could use it more than I already do. Every time that I see it, I take it. I just love the effect it has. I love the fact that it's, oh my god, that was so close. That it just like gives you a red aura that explodes every time you kill an enemy. It feels like you're killing them more. The damage is not all that great, even if you're using barbed tips and getting the buffs from the Hokuto itself. It is still nothing more than a support weapon, but it is a damn good one at that. I just love it. There's not much that I can say other than I love Hokuto's bow. I've showcased it plenty of times. I've used it plenty of times. I like to use it in the backpack. My favorite way of using it is when I get the poison enemies or shots explode in a toxic cloud affix, which is rare-ish, but not that difficult to get. It is not a terribly difficult affix to get a hold of. And yeah, it's just a weapon that I hold close to my heart. I just love it. I don't know why. I love the design. I love the effect. I love what it does. I've used it for so long, ever since the beginning of the game, that I fear I might be just like having nostalgia for it. And even if I do, it's alright. It's just a tier list that is subjective. So, Hokuto's bow is A tier. Throwable objects are so incredibly overpowered, it's actually crazy. Uh, the fact that you can just get Pierce on it is, in my opinion, incredibly overpowered. I don't know why they did it. It's so easy to just breeze through the game when you're using it, and it's on survival as well, dude. So you can use it with slower weapons. Oh, I hate toothpick. I don't like using it. I don't like oven axe. They're too slow. Uh, this is the fastest way of stunning enemies and stunning like big groups of enemies. Because the throwable objects just pierces through a bunch of them, and yeah, it stuns them a lot. It does suffer a little bit on bosses because of the ammo thing. You're gonna run out of ammo a little bit, if you spam it, or if the boss doesn't have like an ad phase that has mobs that you can use to replenish the ammo. So it does have an ammo problem, a bit of an ammo problem. You can use the ammo mutation. You can reroll the affixes on it to get an extra 3 shots, I think. So there are ways to mitigate it, and it's so incredibly broken, and it can be used in so many situations that even though Throwable Objects is as much of a support weapon as Frost Blast, Ice Shards, or Ice Bow, everything that I just said, I think Throwable Objects can go to S tier. The Laser Glaive is another one of the Everyone is Here weapons. It's from Risk of Rain, I think. I've never played Risk of Rain, so I don't know how. I think it's pretty accurate. I heard it's pretty accurate. Yeah, and it's amazing. It's another supporting weapon. It does not do well on bosses at all. Even on things that work specifically for it, like if you're playing boss rush and you're fighting modified concierge in the Black Bridge, and there are like 2 of them, there's a limit to how many times the glaive will bounce and stuff. So yeah, it doesn't work on bosses, but it's so cool. It's a bit slow as well. It's a bit slow. It's a bit clunky. It has zero tracking, so you're just throwing it right in front of you, and if it doesn't hit the enemy, it has quite a forgiving hitbox. But if it doesn't hit the enemy, or if there's just one enemy and not another one for the glaive to bounce off, you're not going to get a whole lot of damage out of it. Works incredibly well with networking and tranquility, but I love it, dude. I love it. And I still, I want to be completely clear. I love all tactics weapons, or pretty much the majority of them. But sometimes they just don't work as they should. So the glaive is going to be B tier, even though I love it. Fire Blast is a weapon that I thought I had done a showcase for on Season 1, but I didn't. So yeah, I think there are not that many. There aren't so many videos using Fire Blast on the channel, but I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's so satisfying to get crits with it if you can get a consistent form of poison oil. So yeah, I love it. It is not that strong. I feel like it's a bit simple, but it doesn't restrict your movement. You can very easily just move out of the attacking animation. You don't need to be constantly near it. Constantly committed to the attack. You can just roll out of it and you'll be fine. You can stop at any time, which may sound weird, but there are some weapons that would be better if they were like this. So yeah, Frost Blast is nice, and nice gets it to B tier. Who doesn't love unlimited power? So even when it comes to with consequences, you guys can see how good it is. Shock is one of like the best affixes in deadcells. Not affixes, sorry. DOTs, effects. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. That's why they had to nerf the electric whip so many times, because shock is really powerful. That's why Tesla coil is one of the best, if not the best, items, skills in the game, because it's crazy how good it is. And Lightning Bolt is the same. It does come with a pretty big drawback, which is you're gonna start taking damage if you don't stop shooting like an idiot, and it can happen. Like right here when I'm using it, I stop just as I'm about to take damage, and in my opinion, that's quite risky because you take a lot of damage when you start taking damage from it. When you use it over the limit, it's gonna be a lot of damage, you know, and it's not worth it. So it's even better that the damage is good on its own. You don't need anything crazy. And as all of the shock themed items, it works really well as crowd control and with networking. I just don't really use networking with it because it's so freaking powerful that you're just killing enemies all the time. So there's no time for the damage you're doing to one enemy to link to the damage you're doing to the other enemy. So I just use point blank and support, or, you know, stuff like that. I think you can get tranquility if you just stand right at the edge of the damage that you can do, but no need, because this is like a really easy S tier. Pyrotechnics really surprised me after I used it. This is footage from one of my most recent showcases, because I remember it being bad. Yeah, Pyrotechnics was changed a lot during its lifetime. It changed colors a couple times, I think, but what I'm sure happened is it used to be really powerful, and then they made it have like ammo, and I'm not sure if they nerfed the damage or not, but yeah, it had ammo for a while, and then it didn't anymore, and they introduced like a cooler combo, or maybe it always had the combo. I don't know why I'm not just opening up the wiki to check it out, but it surprised me. The first two attacks are kind of like weak, but the third one, you know, when you really charge up that ball, it's so powerful. It's crazy. I think I flawlessed this guy with it. Yes, I'm using Vengeance and Face Flask and Point Blank, which even without scrolls is kind of good. But yeah, I think it's amazing. Yeah, our damage is not all that, even with all the stuff I'm using, so it's not gonna be too ugly for me to just place it on B tier, right? There are plenty of videos of me using it. Yeah. On both colors. It's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. As I said, all those weapons are amazing, but Pyro, just amazing enough for B tier. I just realized that I have so many throwing knife videos on the channel that it's actually crazy. I just use it all the time, and I wanted to show the time I used it on the time that I used it on tactics with Wish to get both, so you can see how powerful the damage is. It's a fast way to apply bleed. What else can you ask? So yeah, it's gonna be A tier, just so you guys know. I just love it with Barba Tips as well. I know Barba Tips doesn't scale really well, but with enough kunais and knives inside the enemy, it really makes a difference, and it's really good. I just want to wait for the fight to finish, so I can entertain you guys a bit. But yeah, throwing knives is A tier, without a doubt. I just freaking love it. I use it with a bunch of stuff. Like, just search throwing knife on my channel, and you guys will see how many videos there are of me just using it in general and having a lot of fun. So yeah, that's it. Really fun weapon. A tier. Magic missiles are the definition of mobility over everything, because when you just look at the damage of the weapon, it is not that crazy. But you are so freaking mobile with it. You can use it with so much stuff to help you out, and it's just a decent weapon. It allows you to... You can see that the damage on its own is not all that great, right? But with the right synergies, with the right equipment, with the right mutation set, and if you take advantage of the mobility it has, you're gonna have such an easy time going through the game. I think this is one of the weapons which has like the highest, how do I say it, ranges, like alongside with Peril Glyphs. Like, the shots travel far and they hit stuff. So yeah, it's not gonna go any higher than B tier, but it is really good, and I recommend you guys watch the videos that I have on it. I use it with King's Scepter once to take advantage of the mobility it has. This will allow you to air stall and do a bunch of movement tech. So it actually has so much movement tech that I feel like A tier is warranted. Although some things in here might be better. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like this is fair. This is looking like a decent tier list. Boomerang is going to be the easiest S tier of this tier list. I don't even think I need to explain it to you guys. Yes, on this video here I'm using it with Cross, but just check any of the Boomerang videos that I have. This one here, I just use the Boomerang and a shield, so it's a purer showcase of the Boomerang, but it goes so well with everything. You can even place it on the backpack and get everything that you can place on the backpack on tactics will benefit from getting the 100% extra damage or 400% extra damage affix, the one that comes with extra damage taken. On the backpack, the extra damage doesn't apply, so you can just get a bunch of damage for free. But even without that, and without all my ramblings, Boomerang is amazing. It is so incredibly good. It will suffer a bit on really crowded areas, but you can take advantage, you can mitigate that effect by just using the ammo mutation, which will give you another Boomerang for free. Like, yeah, I say for free, but just for one mutation. You're doubling your damage with one mutation. Like, what are the other mutations that do this, you know? And it doesn't scale. Like, you can just get out of prisoner's quarters with your Boomerang, pick up ammo, and bam, you're just doing double damage with it. So I don't even know why I'm arguing my way into this. You guys totally agree with me. Boomerang is S tier. Barrel launcher is insane. Clinically, I love it. I want to place it on S tier, but did you just see what happened there? The enemy hit the barrel back at me, so that's tough. The way the barrel launcher works is you fire a barrel and it will crit if it hits an enemy after hitting a surface. So you can very easily cheese boss fights with it and cheese situations in general by making sure you're always like hitting a surface. But the barrel has a thing where if an enemy attacks the barrel will be launched back at you. So you might take a little bit of self-inflicted damage, quote unquote, which is not really nice. But it's so fun to use, you know. The legendary fires 3 barrels. Like what the hell, man? It's cool. It's cool. There aren't enough explosive weapons in this game. Like the explosive crossbow and this. I just love it. Probably because of my like FPS background. I just love explosives in general. I've been playing the finals a lot lately, and they buffed the grenade launcher that's available for one of the classes. And I've just been having a blast with it. I even posted a highlight because I love explosive weapons. So even though the barrel launcher is a double-edged sword in the most literal sense of the word, not the most literal, but yeah, it's you can damage yourself with it. Uh, Even though it has all those like bad things going for it, that should make you like really really careful when you're using it. If you're able to be careful and take advantage of the fact that you can hit back the barrels like with a parry or with anything if an enemy hits the barrel back at you, and that will even give you free crits if you don't have a wall to bounce off of. I don't feel all that bad about placing it on B tier. It is a difficult weapon to use, but just check out my videos using it, and you guys will understand why I love it so much. I simply adore Money Shooter. There's nothing that I can say other than just use this weapon. Uh, the gold requirement. So the way I feel like I haven't been talking about the weapons a whole lot, but dude, Dead Cells is an old game. If you guys are watching, you guys probably know about it. And if I haven't explained about a weapon well enough, just check out the videos. But yeah, the way Money Shooter works is you shoot money. Every shot costs, I think it costs 250 gold. So there is a risk of running out of money. There is a very real risk of you just running out of money if you're not careful or conscious about the money situation. However, it has one of the highest damages in the game. Um, it will destroy pretty much anything that you face without a problem. And yeah, it's just like we're just hitting damage cap numbers all the time. It's not as slow as it looks, you know, with the wind up, but I know it might seem like a scary weapon, but I'm gonna place it on S tier, and I urge you guys to either try it out or just check out plenty of videos that I have on it. I never run out of money with this weapon, and I've done runs without using any money making mutations, but the damage on this weapon is so high that you can just like not use point blank or tranquility, which you definitely should use with any ranged weapons on tactics. But the damage here is so great that you can just not pick any of those mutations up and then just use get rich quick, you know, or Midas blood if you get hit a lot, and you're gonna like be continuously making back the money you're spending. And usually when I just run either of those mutations, I like to do a combo of those two, but you can just use get rich quick and maybe use something that will give you a speed buff if you kill one enemy, or just play fast. But I never run out of money, and I end up like usually with like a surplus of money, you know, like 87k, dude, at the end, you know, and I've been using this weapon the entire time. So yeah, you can even just like put it in the backpack and use it only for bosses if you're playing normally. But yeah, Money Shooter is just straight up S tier. So the Peril Glyphs ranking is gonna come with a bit of a spoiler, because I'm gonna showcase the final true boss of the game. So if you don't want to see it, I'm just gonna say it outright. Peril Glyphs is S tier, and I'm gonna argue about it. But first, I'm gonna show the gameplay of me no-hitting spoiler boss with it. And yeah, if you want my reasoning, just look away from the screen and just listen to me talk. So yeah, Peril Glyphs is literally, now I'm not exaggerating, I know I might have said it other times during this tier list, and you guys might have heard me say it other times, that this one or that one are my favorite weapons in the game. Like, this is my favorite, blah, blah, blah. Peril Glyphs is literally my favorite tactics ranged weapon in the game. It's my favorite. I just love it. This is my favorite weapon of all time. It's great. It's so incredibly amazing that yeah, I can't express enough how much I love it. The only way that I could is by showing you guys how many videos I have using it, and those aren't all of them. It's a bit bugged, the search function on YouTube, but I have plenty of runs using those weapons, and yeah, I just love it. Damn it, I stopped showing the gameplay for a second, but I flawless spoiler boss with it, and I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I'm not even doing the crit condition. Yes, I am a little over scrolled with 36 scrolls, but we're not even getting the crit condition on it, and we're still just destroying bosses, and we're doing it with every single boss that we face. Every time I use glyphs, I just have such a fun time. And usually when I'm using weapons that like require you to be at low health, like the Frantic Sword, it takes a couple tries, but every time I decide to pick up Peril Glyphs, I get an instant win, you know? No damage taken, no like tough spots, no like difficult situations to overcome. And I feel like it's that all is owed due to the fact that the damage is really high, the attacks are really fast, and the range is amazing. You're just gonna breeze through the game with this weapon. I urge you guys to try it. Like, even right out of prisoner's quarters, you just like pick it up and go to the lava here and take 2 quick dips in the lava, and bam, you're already doing damage enough to not have to worry about anything in the game. Like, look at how good this is, you know? So yeah, Peril Glyphs is S tier. If throwable objects were placed on S tier, Boy's Axe needs to be placed above it, but S tier is the highest it goes, so we're just gonna place Boy's Axe in S tier. I don't even think I have to say why. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a reference to God of War. We love God of War. I'm actually gonna start playing the PC version of God of War Ragnarok that just launched. It's amazing. It's an amazing weapon. Amazing supporting weapon, but the thing that makes this even better than all the other supporting weapons is the fact that, yes, it has infinite ammo, so it's better than throwable objects, but the damage on its own is also great. I thought I had done a Boy's Axe only video on the channel, but I haven't, so I guess I'm gonna do that. It's also really easily buffed by the ammo mutation, same as Boomerang, so you can just double your damage for free. It's really good at keeping enemies in place to enable the use of other weapons, but I would just rather yank the axe out of the enemy and kill it. So yeah, it's amazing, and it's S tier. So the War Javelin has grown quite a lot on me over the past couple months, maybe even the past couple, maybe the past year, yeah. Because I used to hate this. I've used the War Javelin a lot, you can tell. There are plenty of videos of me using the War Javelin on the channel. I even used it on survival with slower weapons, thanks to Dimitri's idea. So check that out if you want to see me use it. But we're judging the weapon on its home turf. So we're judging it on tactics, and I'm so sorry, guys. The weapon has grown on me quite a lot. It does not suck as bad as I thought it did. It is a support weapon through and through. You need to use it that way by enabling other items to be used. But there are so many, like so many better supporting weapons and things on tactics that would do what Javelin is trying to do, but better. So yeah, the first and yeah, I'm not sure about the other ones, but yeah, C tier. I'm sorry, guys, I just don't like it. Out of all the items we have reviewed and ranked so far, I feel like this is going to be the most how do I say this, controversial one, because especially considering the rank that I just gave War Javelin, I'm not sure you guys are gonna like this, but I just love Hemorrhage, and I'm gonna say it, please guys, try it out, because it's so incredibly amazing at dealing with single targets. You're just gonna stun lock everything to death. Everything, without a doubt. And it can crit on its own, but just after the second hit, because the first one is gonna apply bleeding or poison, I don't remember. And the second one is gonna crit because it crits when you hit an enemy that's affected by either bleeding or poisoning. So you can use it on its own. But if you use it with something like Alchemic Carbine or throwing knives, or in this case, both with Acrobatic Pack, or if you just use Acrobatic Pack in general with something that applies poison or bleeding, like a Hokuto bow that has poison, you can use it in a main hand or just put it in the backpack. You're just going to destroy the enemies. There are plenty of runs on the channel. I think there's actually just one other than this one that I did on Brutality with Hemorrhage, Face Flask, and Vengeance. But on that one, I think I flawlessed the final boss of the game, the spoiler boss. And even on this video that I'm showing, I think I do pretty well as well. It's just that I haven't edited it yet. But I think we do flawless. Yeah, we do flawless Conju. You guys are gonna have to wait for me to release this video so you can watch it. But yeah, it's amazing. It's so freaking good. It's S tier. I am not gonna lie to you guys that I was really incredibly surprised by how mid the Sonic Crossbow is. The Sonic Carbine. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I remembered that it was really slow, and this is not even a proper showcase of it, right? But this is one of my most recent videos on the channel. But Sonic Carbine is bad, you know? It's another one of those weapons that has a specific use. It's better used when you're dealing with huge mobs of enemies, because that's the crit condition. The shots crit when you hit a enemy that's in front of it, and then the shots that pass through enemies are going to crit. But the problem is it keeps you stuck in place, like a lot, even more than some of the crossbows in the game. So this is a secret weapon. You find it on 5 BC, same as Hemorrhage that we just talked about. You have to beat essentially 5 BC, you know, or at least Astrolab to get access to this weapon. And you think that it's going to be as powerful as Hemorrhage or as Collector Syringe, because it's a secret weapon, you know, it's supposed to be good, but it just sucks so bad. And the fact that it's supposed to be good, because of the reasons that I just said, give me arguments enough to place it alongside War Javelin on C tier. Once again, I'm going to show some spoilery footage for the Blowgun, but S tier right away. And I'm going to show the video of me no-hitting spoiler boss with it, because I think it's really good. If you guys don't want to be spoiled, just listen or jump over to the next item, because yeah, Blowgun is S tier. I just love it. It's exactly what the Assassin's Dagger wish it was, but essentially 1,000 times better. It's so freaking good. The damage is amazing. I think this is one of the highest crit multipliers in the game, alongside the Assassin's Dagger. But the fact that it's ranged and, you know, poison, and dude, it's incredible, okay? It shoots fast as hell, as you can see. You can use hold to attack to just have a fun time. It pierces. The pierce affix is quite easy to get. It's amazing. So yeah, it's S tier, and let's just wait for the fight to finish. I feel like I have more than one video using it. I remember recording more videos, but I guess I used it on normal mode runs. But just look at how easy that was, you know? Like, incredibly easy. So yeah, Blowgun is S tier. The Killing Deck is another one that I really like, and even if I didn't, it's still really powerful. The biggest problem that's keeping this weapon away from being incredibly OP is that it kind of doesn't have tracking. You're kind of just flinging the cards randomly, and yeah, they go to the general area that you're aiming at, you know, but it doesn't have tracking, so sometimes you're gonna kind of miss, especially when you're dealing with flying enemies. I feel like it's a bit weird when it comes to that, but I just love it. I think it's fun. I always loved Gambit from the X-Men. You know, I just always loved Gambit, and you're essentially playing as Gambit, you know? There's probably a Gambit skin on the game. I was suffering a lot there, trying to not trigger that elite effect. Not trigger that Doombringer, but yeah, I love Killing Deck. The only problem is the fact that it's random, but the damage is just insane. When you pull the cards, you do so much damage. It's crazy. It's literally crazy damage. So yeah, this is another one that goes into S tier. The Gilded Yumi is so fun. I'm not even going to spend any time talking about it. I'm just going to say that it's S tier, and we're going to be done with it. It does suck against bosses. This is footage of me finding a way to use it, but it sucks on most bosses. You're going to have trouble fighting most of the bosses in the game with it, because they become, especially the later bosses, they become really resistant to knockback effects, and their attacks kind of get like weirded out by it. But still, really effective. It is fun. It is so fun. It is so incredibly fun to use this on biomes, just like killing a bunch of enemies. It doesn't work as well as you think it would with networking, but it's still incredibly fun. Just bumping enemies into walls and stuff, and it feels powerful, you know? The bow is huge in your hand, so yeah. I'm gonna place it on A tier because it sucks on bosses, because it's a little slow and it has just 2 shots, but yeah, it's still pretty good. Let's just finish the video. See how good it can be? So yeah, A tier. There is no item more worthy of using Wish on than Cross. I love it. I love it so much. It's actually crazy that it was added so late into the game's life cycle, considering how good it is. I feel like I've been using Cross for as long as I remember, and yeah, it's good. It's worth using Wish on it to get the extra ammo and to be able to use another one. It's worth to use ammo on it to get the increase in damage for free. It's incredible. It's amazing. So check out all the videos that I have using it. I have used it with so much stuff. I have flawless, I think, every boss in the game with it on camera, so I might be exaggerating a bit now that I think about it, but definitely flawless the normal ones. Death. I'm not sure about Queen, but I think I did. It's so cheesy, it's so easy to destroy them that this one is S tier, easily. Throwing axe, sorry, is another of the Castlevania items that is also amazing. Look at the damage. Look at that damage. It is a bit difficult to use. Yes, it's a little bit like Valmont's whip in a sense where you have to position yourself in relation to the enemy to be able to get the most out of it. But it's not that difficult. And you can throw them back to back, you know? There is a little bit of delay, but it's incredible. It's incredible. It's another one that's an easy S tier. Every time I see it, I have to pick it up. There are some items that can make it easier to use. Stuff that will keep enemies in place, like you can use Boy's Axe with it, or you can use Wolf Trap, Garroot Grenade, Stun Grenade. There's a bunch of stuff that you can use with it. And yeah, it's really easy to fight Conjunctivius. And also, I'm not sure if I show it here because, yeah, you couldn't go to Giant, but it's so easy to fight Giant. You essentially don't need to leave the middle of the platform and you're able to hit both eyes and both hands and get crits and stuff. So it's the easiest S tier of my life as well. Medusa's head is our second to last weapon. Final weapon added on the Castlevania DLC. And it's the final weapon that's going to be placed in S tier because I just love it. There's a bug which allows you to infinitely create biters with it. It's really funny. But even without that bug, it's so incredibly powerful. I just love it. I love just petrifying enemies It's a new effect. It's not quite freeze, so it doesn't necessarily get buffed by frostbite, but it's an effect on its own, and it's so good. It's so good. You can use this to just cheese pretty much every single boss, you know. They're gonna get resistant to it as you go further into the run, just like every single effect like that. But you can get easy flawlesses on all the first bosses and maybe even on the second ones. The concussive blast that it does after you press it again is really powerful and has a lot of range. And I'm not sure if it benefits from point blank or tranquility, but even without it, and it probably does, but even without it, you're still just doing great damage. And that is why it's also S tier. So we're getting to the end of the list here. We're just going to finish up with the Anathema, and then we're going to have some closing thoughts. The Anathema sucks, and that's it. It just sucks. The fact that you're like cursed all the time that you're using it, or just like most of the time that you're using it, don't help the weapon at all. You know, it really sucks. You're essentially playing a worse version of the Cursed Sword, and you guys do know how much I love the Cursed Sword. There are plenty of Cursed Sword videos on the channel and stuff, but I just can't with this weapon, man. It's like on this showcase that I'm going for here, we managed to snag 2 legendary ice armors, which like they're supposed to make the game a breeze, you know? You can take 2 hits, and you can take 1 hit, activate the ice armor, or take the other one. It's just amazing, but I just can't. I just can't use it. The arc, you gotta use it, and then you're gonna see that it sucks. Like the fact that you're cursed all the time just makes this weapon so bad. This isn't even something that you can use as a supporting item, because why would you? You know, it's not worth it. So this is going to pair up quite nicely with the beginner's bow in F tier. And with that, we managed to finish up the entirety of the ranged weapons on a tier list. So that's it, guys. That's the entirety of the ranged weapons in Dead Cells ranked on a tier list. If you have any critiques, thoughts, and suggestions, leave them in the comment section. Please, I would love to discuss this with you guys. Seriously, ranged weapons, I feel like they are more volatile when it comes to. Well, I feel like people have a higher, like a bigger range of opinions when it comes to ranged weapons, because I feel like with melee weapons, it's easier to know like if a melee weapon is good or bad, because you know most of the time you just need to do a whole lot of damage in a quick succession, and you know without having to take too many risks. But ranged weapons, they are all of them are like less risk. They are risk free. You know, there's less risk associated with using them, and you can kind of tell that by this tier list here. Yes, there are some harder weapons to use, but most of the weapons that are low on the tier list, they are like a little harder to use. And well, I guess that's true for the melee tier list as well. I guess I'm just rambling. My point is, I think there are going to be more disagreeing opinions on ranged weapons than melee or shields or any other tier list that we go for, but this is mine. I'm not particularly prideful, so I will change things up if you guys feel like it. You know, we can do a redo of the tier list in a bit. but in the future. But it's just my opinion, you know. I might have put one or two of them up or down one tier if I was recording in a different day, you know. It's just an opinion. Uh, but I would very much like you guys to check out the videos that I made using those weapons if you want to know, like, why are you placing Ice Bow on B tier? Why are you doing this or that with this or that item? It's because of my experience, and I'm really glad. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of the showcases that are recorded. So, like every single one of those items, there's one video for them. So yeah, that's it. This is the final tier list. If you guys have any suggestions or comments or critiques, leave them in the comment section. I want to thank you guys so much for all your support and for doing what you do with me. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next videos. Bye bye.